till my love took it down. I climbed a mountain and I turned around, and I saw my reflection in the snow.
Worthy of our respect, and her life is definitely worth celebrating. My name is Janelle Brown, and I'm a community chaplain with law enforcement, fire, and EMS services here in Napa County, and it's an honor to be here before you today. And your presence is such a blessing to the family. It speaks significantly about the impact that Amy's had upon your life, and just thank you. Thank you all for being here. During our time together, we're going to share in Amy's life. We're going to hear words from family and friends. We're going to hear some music that was picked out especially for our time together. And later during the reception time, we're going to share in some refreshments and see some pictures of her amazing life. My hope and prayer is that she is truly honored in the way that she deserves to be. But first, the family would like us to join together in prayer. So please let us pray. Almighty God, we come before you today with heavy hearts at the passing of your daughter, but we are ever so grateful for her life. I ask for comfort and strength for all of her family and friends and loved ones whose lives she touched as they all try to navigate the future without having this extraordinary woman in their daily lives. God, I ask that you comfort everyone here in the way that only you can, and may we honor Amy in the way that she deserves to be. And we ask all of this in your name. Amen. Thank you. You know, the way Amy lived and laughed and loved was just so vast. There's absolutely no way that we can begin to cover it in the time that we have here together. There's so much to share about her, but first let's get to the basics. So Amy was born on March 23rd, 1976 in Marshfield, Wisconsin to William and Carol Davis. She made many significant moves in her life, from Wisconsin, then to Eugene, Oregon, to Sacramento, to Santa Barbara. She had graduated from Bella Vista High School in Fair Oaks, and she was quite the athlete, I'm told, in high school. She played field hockey. She was a track star in long jump and in relay race as well as she was also a cheerleader. She attended college at UC Santa Barbara, earning her degree there. She hit the working world and was an experienced sales executive, and she had a successful career at several tech companies. Upon further moves, she made to South San Francisco, to Sunnyvale, and then to San Francisco. However, her greatest accomplishment by far was that of being a wife and a mother. She had a lifelong love of adventure and travel that began at a very early age. In her young years, there were great camping trips with family in the north woods of Wisconsin, and then she went on to enjoy many wonderful family vacations to Cabo, Hawaii, Italy, South Africa, and Thailand. Her sense of adventure took her on a backpacking trip through Europe after college. Amy was always so active, participating in many 5K races for worthy causes, which was a true passion of hers. She was strong, very physical, always taking care of herself, always exercising, and just living and loving life. She relished the holidays. She always put a ton of work into decorating her home and thrived getting everyone together. I see all of the heads nodding. Everyone together to celebrate. She made all holidays, especially Thanksgiving and Christmas, truly special for everyone. But above all of that was her character, her zest for life, her presence. Now, I unfortunately did not know Amy personally, but I've had the privilege of talking to the family over the past few weeks. So I really feel like I have come to not only know her very well, but has come to love her as well. She was just amazing. She was always smiling. Her smile was infectious. She had a way of engaging with people. She had a way of really making them feel special, making them feel seen and cared about. That, my friends, is really a true gift. Not everybody possesses that, and it's a big deal to have. People gravitated to her presence, to her glow. I'm told she was absolutely hilarious also, that she was one of the funniest and funnest ones to be around. I told you we could be up here all day mentioning all of her qualities, but to sum it up, she was just a genuine, loving soul who took care of herself and others. When one would express their love to her, her catchphrase was, "I love you more." I'd be remiss if I didn't mention her strength during her times of her health adversity. She was diagnosed with a devastating illness in June of 2025, one that her and her family endured together through it all, totally and completely devoted to one another. She participated in a medical trial in Montreal, Canada for 4 months, a time that the entire family supported her through and was there with her the entire time, supporting her. Her legacy is one of love, light, strength, warmth, humor, and total devotion to her family and friends. She passed away on March 28th of this year, just 5 days after her 50th birthday. She was a true bright light that was extinguished way too soon. Left to cherish her memory are her loving husband, Vishal Makajani, and her son, Benjamin, both of San Francisco, and her stepdaughter, Natalie, of New York. From the Davis family, she leaves her father and stepmother, William and Cheryl Davis of Folsom, brother and sister-in-law, Eric and Lindsay Davis, and nephews, Liam and Zach, all of Folsom, her sister and best friend, Sarah Davis of St. Paul, and nephew, Charlie Jenkins of Woodbury, her stepfather, Carlos Del Bono of Loomis, and stepsister, Melina Del Bono of Sacramento. From the Makajani family, she leaves her father-in-law, Melu Makajani of North Carolina, brother and sister-in-law, Hemet and Kathy, nephews, Kieran, Maddox, and niece, Kaya, all of Honolulu. She also leaves other family, friends, treasured family members, too numerous. We'd be here all day to mention those, but you're all well loved by her. She was predeceased by her mother, Carol, and mother-in-law, Mira, and other family members that went before her. What a legacy this woman created on her short journey of life, one that will continue to live for just long, many years to come. Continue to live in her family and in her friends and in the lives that she touched on a consistent basis. We are now going to hear from some loved ones who want to share their heart with you. And let's see, first we have Bill. Father Bill.
Hello. I've probably written this 100 times, probably do that again. You think about memories of your daughter, you go, oh, why didn't I think to put that in there? But anyhow, this was the conclusion as of right now. So anyhow, driving down here with my son and a couple of grandkids, I thought, I wonder if I should just be spontaneous, heck with this, and bring a little more levity to the crowd, since this is supposed to be a celebration. But if you sit in this chair right here, and you look at this picture right here, she's staring me right in the eyes, saying, "Dad, don't you embarrass me. Don't you embarrass me." I mean, look, when you're done, come up and sit in that chair. But I thought, man, what a great opportunity. There's 200 people here, one last chance. Those days when, like prom date shows up at the door and Amy says, "Please, Dad, don't grill them. Don't grill them when they come to the door." Or when they want to be dropped off 2 blocks from the front door at school, and you pull up the front door and you go, "Amy, here I am to pick you up." She's so embarrassed. So anyhow, I was going to do a cheer because she was a cheerleader in high school, but I thought, well, maybe we'll just forgo that anyhow. So, Amy, I won't embarrass you. So I'll stick to the script. Anyhow, good afternoon. My name is Bill Davis, and I'm Amy's dad. I'd like to start by welcoming everyone here today to celebrate the life and memory of Amy. We know some of you have come great distances to be a part of this celebration. You traveled here from New York, Pennsylvania, Idaho, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Hawaii, and all parts of California, to name a few. I want to acknowledge Amy's mother, who passed away 10 years ago, her side of the family, who reigned from the great state of Wisconsin. There are almost 20 of them that came out here to be here for the celebration, and I'd like to acknowledge them. Wonderful Wisconsinites, Hildebrand family, glad you're here. Thanks for coming. On behalf of the Davis members of the family, myself, Cheryl, Eric, Sarah, and my grandchildren, we extend our heartfelt thanks. To see so many of you here today makes me proud to say that Amy is my daughter. My baby girl, I love to call Bubbers, when she was a chubby-cheeked little girl. You may have heard the phrase, "love breeds love." I believe Amy is the perfect example of love breeds love. Amy spent her life sharing her love, kindness, affection, and goodness with others, and it touched so many people in so many ways, and all of you are here today to return that love. Thank you. You returned that love during the past year by sending Amy and her family hundreds of words of encouragement and strength. Many of you sent meals, flowers, and gifts, helped when needed with Ben and his furry siblings, Canelo and Cookie, and visited her in Montreal and San Francisco. The Davis/Makajani family thanks you all from the bottom of our hearts. As a Davis/Hildebrand, Amy didn't have a choice growing up but to be beautiful, smart, athletic, competitive, stubborn, have a sense of humor, and love ice cream. When playing sports, Amy could talk smack with the best of them. No matter what your age or what the sport, there was no "let's give them a break" because they're just little kids, they're old ladies. Emil Cheryl remembers that Amy wouldn't even let her take any gimmies in mini golf. "Nope, Emil, you have to count every stroke," Amy would seriously state. I remember playing in a soccer game with Amy and a bunch of her adult friends against Benjamin and his friends. As Amy's larger and much older teammates were destroying Ben and his much smaller and younger teammates, I managed to insert myself as the adult team goaltender. As a goaltender, I foolishly allowed one of Ben's teammates to easily score a goal. That was a no-no. I was benched for the rest of the game. Amy's team went on to win 20-1. Amy was definitely a foodie who enjoyed eating out. When she found a good restaurant in San Francisco, she loved sharing that restaurant with us. Many years ago, Amy visited Cheryl and I while we were living in Philadelphia. We wanted to share with Amy one of our favorite Philly eating establishment, Pat's Cheesesteaks in South Philly. If you've never heard of Pat's, it's Philadelphia's version of Seinfeld's Soup Nazi. You line up at the small window, quickly place your order, and move on. You order your cheesesteak whiz wit or whiz without. In other words, do you want it with cheese whiz and grilled onions or not? Amy quickly and obediently stepped forward to the small window and stated, "I would like a cheesesteak with everything but the steak." Yep, a cheesesteak with everything but the steak. Cheryl and I froze, waiting for a loud voice rejection. As the counter person paused, he started to laugh and said, "Well, that's a first. Hey, Tony, get this order." Fortunately, he didn't say no cheesesteak for you. He dumped the steak off the roll and piled on some mushrooms, bell peppers, and grilled onions. Amy had many endearing qualities. She would always remember birthdays and call and sing happy birthday, even though she inherited my "we'll never see you performing on stage" voice. Amy could always capture the attention of guests and families at gatherings and other events. Her sense of humor always created lots of laughter. She just always seemed to have an ease with which she was able to connect with others, and they wanted to connect with her. Amy was big-hearted and always shined through in everything she did. She had a kind and giving mindset. She would help family members when she felt they needed help. She often considered the needs of others and gave of her time and resources to Ben and Natalie's schools, local food banks, and community holiday toy drives. Many years ago, I received a phone call from one of Amy's boyfriends. The caller's name was Vishal Makajani. The call only lasted a few minutes, as I recall. Vishal, aka Vish, was asking permission to marry my daughter, Amy. I didn't know a lot about Vish. I think Amy had told me that he had a good job, might have owned his own house, and maybe had a nice car. After recalling that conversation with Amy, who always seemed to use good judgment, I thought it was a pretty safe bet to say, "I do give you permission, Vish, to marry my daughter." Not long after that phone call, Vish and Amy said their "I do's" to each other on the North Shore of Oahu 15 years ago this past November. And together they brought more joy in our family with the love of their lives and the love of our lives with Natalie and Ben. As a parent, you wish your children will find a partner who will love them as much as you do. Hello? Testing? Still on?
Keep going.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, because he's in the sun. So you can't just shot. Just look at it.
Hello? No.
Just overheating, he said, because he's in the sun.
Okay.
You have to talk loud, Bob. Really loud.
He's coming.
So Amy. So Dad and
Sorry. No, it's not my fault.
No, it's not your fault. I'm overheating up there.
Okay.
Test. No.
Just go ahead and talk loud, guys.
They're gonna talk loud. I'll fix it. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Let me reset.
As a parent, you wish your children will find a partner who will love them as much as you do. Fortunately or unfortunately, we spent a lot more time with you, Vish, and Amy during this past year than we would have ever expected. However, during that difficult time, under the most difficult circumstances, we saw a kind of person and husband you really are. When Amy became ill, none of us knew what the road ahead would hold. But Vish, you did not hesitate. You stepped forward, not always quietly, but completely and without reservation, and became everything that she needed.
You're good now, Dad.
Okay, thank
There
you.
you go.
You managed Amy's care at home in Boston and Montreal with a dedication that humbled everyone who witnessed it. The nurses, medications, the appointments, the difficult days when nothing went right, you handled it all and never wavered. Made sure that even in the hardest moments, she felt safe, comfortable, and deeply loved. Vish, you were never just Amy's caretaker. You were always her care partner. You didn't make all of Amy's medical or life decisions for her. To the end, you actively partnered with Amy, supporting her independence and power to make decisions about her treatment and how she would live what life she had left. Thank you, Vish. You will be forever grateful for loving Amy as much as we do. Amy didn't choose this battle, but she chose how she would face it. Amy's battle with ALS was painfully short, but her courage during that time revealed her true character. She was a fighter before she received her ALS diagnosis. She approached all challenges in her life, raising children, relationships, work with determination, trust, and heart. Her disease was fast and furious, and she met it with strength, perseverance, and determination. We miss Amy every day, but we will always carry her with us. We will remember her strength, her laughter, her compassion, and most of all, her love. Try not to be sad because Amy is gone. Be happy because she was here. Love you.
Hi, everybody. If you don't already know me, my name is Melina, and I am Amy's younger sister. We actually met when we were really young, like 2 and 5, on the playground at family housing in Oregon. Then my dad met her mom, and we became sisters. It wasn't always easy growing up as Amy Davis's little sister. She was a straight A student. She was an athlete, a cheerleader, really popular, and I was none of those things. In fact, aside from her closest friends, I wasn't even sure if the people in Amy's world knew I existed. But that was okay, because they were not privy to the wonderful world that Amy and I had outside of school, away from our friends, away from our family even. Amy was my playmate, my teacher, my mentor, and my friend. She took full credit for me starting first grade at the age of 5, because we would play school for hours, which means she would teach me everything she learned in class while I sat on the floor being a model student. She once made up an entire leprechaun pen pal for me and wrote me letters for weeks, letting me know where to find all the treasures. My favorite was when she transformed into my very own cleaning fairy, mostly because I got out of cleaning my room. As hard as she worked to create these wonderful worlds for me, I knew it was my job to let her. I was more than willing to play along with any game she made up, any concert she wanted me to perform, any activity she wanted me to participate in, even if it got me hurt, bike crash here and there, or in trouble. I always cherished the time we spent together as kids, but I was never really sure how Amy felt about it until a few years ago, when she sent me a story she had written about us. And I want to share an excerpt from it with you guys today. It was called Fairies and Floor Monsters. My younger sister Melina was a big part of my childhood, and being the older sibling, occasionally I would allow her input regarding the type of world we would live in on any given day. I can remember my sister and I spending hours verbally creating what the house, store, magical fortress, etc. that we would exist in for that day would look like. Once the details had been contrived, it was as if, in an instant, the walls were being constructed around us. The very place we had created with our own minds was erected out of thin air, and there we lived for the next several hours. I remember specifically creating a fairy princess personality that would fly down to visit us in our room to help us do chores. These were the moments where I had to dig deep in order to create a way to deal with the unbearable task of cleaning up the monster that our floor had given birth to. A direct order from our parents who said we could not come out until we can see the floor. I had convinced my sister that this fairy princess, her very own fairy princess, would come down and whisper a magical saying that would instantly clean our room, or as we understood it, send the floor monster into Never Never Land. But the only condition was that she had to wait in our bathroom because she could not see the fairy princess in person. It was against fairy code, of course. And this fairy also looked a lot like myself, and I did not feel like explaining to her how this was possible. As she sat on the toilet waiting, she hoped that at some point the fairy princess could remember the magical saying that would instantly clean our room up. When I finally finished cleaning the floor monster, alas, the fairy princess remembered the saying. Melina would come out of the bathroom amazed at the sight of a spotless room that she had nothing to do with. The fairy princess did exist, never putting together that I could have picked up the room myself during the hour and a half that she spent in the bathroom waiting. Even more amazing was the fact that I was so absorbed in creating this world for her, for us, that it never dawned on me that I was doing the task that I hated most, cleaning our room. This was just one example. She also wrote about riding our magic bikes that turned into ice cream makers, performing songs from Annie for our parents, and getting stuck in the mud in our brand new shoes. We often wondered if those shoes were still there long after we moved out. I will always cherish these memories, but I can't even begin to tell you how honored and validated I felt knowing that Amy cherished them enough to write them down. She may have been wrong when she said I had no idea she was outside of the bathroom cleaning up my mess, because I totally knew. But she was having so much fun making up these stories for me, and I couldn't deny her that pleasure. Amy never lost that creativity or that sense of humor. I can't even tell you how many times I have laughed to the point of hyperventilating around her. She has brought so much joy and silliness to my life, and I will hold on to that forever. And by the way, I never stopped needing that cleaning fairy. Thank you.
I think next we have Emmett.
Sorry, I'm trying to get to my picture here.
For those of you who don't know me, I'm Visha's brother, Hemant. I didn't know if I could really get up here and speak to everybody today, but I felt I needed to share some stories from getting to know Amy through Vishal. And I feel like it was just yesterday where I came to visit San Francisco from Hawaii on a work trip, and Vishal told me I had to meet this new girl that he was hanging out with. They were in this little apartment in Noe Valley, and from the moment I met Amy, I could tell right away that my brother had found someone very special. She was obviously very beautiful, but also so warm and loving, and had such a welcoming spirit. There was something special about her. Like Bill and Melina both said, she just had this way of making you feel special whenever she spoke to you. And that's something so rare and unique. I also saw the first way she used to be with Natalie, when Natalie was, I think maybe was like 4 years old at the time too. And you could just tell she had a huge heart, and she shared it so freely with everybody. So that was my first exposure to her, and we had a pretty fun night out in the city that weekend. Some good eats, and some very long nights at the bar, because Amy loved to have a great time. She was always so much fun, and that was my first encounter. But then she continued to show that warmth and affection to me, who I didn't really get to spend that much time with them because I lived in Hawaii, but she was still always so welcoming and treated me like family every time I came back, and invited me that first time to come spend Thanksgiving with the whole Davis Hildebrand clan. And I'll be honest, I didn't want to go at first. I had other plans in Tahoe, and I wanted to go hang out with my buds, but also wanted to see Natalie and Vishal. And so I said, heck, why not? Let's go. And it was the best decision I ever made. The whole Davis family was so warm and so welcoming, treated me like family from day one, never once felt out of place, just felt like part of the family from the very first day. And I could see where Amy had learned to have that, very open love and welcoming warmth that came from her whole, extended family. And it was something she always lived every day, at least every day I ever interacted with her, spoke with her, texted with her about like, what are we gonna get the kids for their birthdays this year? She was always there, always available, always so about family. It just made me want to be a better dad to my kids, seeing how she was with my niece and my nephew. And, whether it was a video song of happy birthday or planning 2 months ahead before she got the absolute best gifts for our kids that you could possibly imagine, that she didn't just click something on Amazon. She was thinking absolutely about each and every one of them and something special about each one of them, and she always got just the most amazing gift because she put so much thought and love into every little thing she did with me and my wife Kathy and our kids. So that's, I don't know what else to say other than what's already been said. She's just such an amazing soul, an amazing person. I'm so sad that we don't get to share more time with her, but I try. When I get home to see my kids after work every day, I always open the door and I say something she always used to say when greeting me. She always said, "Hey-o." So that's my little tribute to her. Every time I get home from work, I open the door and I say, "Hey-o," and the little kids come running, and I think of Amy and how just warm and loving she was to me and my whole family. And I feel lucky to have spent at least the time we spent together and connected as a family. And yeah, that's all I got.
Jeannie? Or is it Jean? I'm sorry. Jeannie, thanks. I was right the first time.
Hi, everyone. I really wanted to try to talk off the cuff a little bit, but I don't think I'm going to be able to do that, so I'm just going to read what I wrote, and I hope that's okay. Okay. Good morning. My name is Jeannie, and I was lucky enough to have the privilege of calling Amy my best friend for 38 years. I still can't quite believe I'm standing here without her by my side. She has been by my side for what seems like my entire life. However, I know if the roles were reversed, Amy would be right here where I am doing this for me. When I reflect on my friendship with Amy over the past 3.5 decades, there are some consistent characteristics that she showed and have been present the whole time I've known her, since we met at the age of 12. Amy was kind, generous, always present, and hilarious. She had this rare combination of a huge heart and a wicked sense of humor. She could be organizing a fundraiser 1 minute and then 2 minutes later have the whole room doubled over laughing. Amy showed up for people, not just when it was convenient, but when it was hard, when it was messy, and when it required rearranging her entire day. When my son Jason was born, and our friend Hillary's son was also born within the same 36 hours at 2 different hospitals in San Francisco, Amy was somehow there for both births. She moved between hospitals, between rooms, between 2 new families, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. She attended practically every family event we had, and I have a big Greek family, so that's a lot of family events. birthdays, baptisms, annual Christmas Eve dinner. She was always there. That was Amy, fully present for every big moment, no matter what it cost her in time or energy. Her generosity went far beyond the people she knew personally. Amy gave her time, her energy, and her resources to causes she cared about. Not because it looked good, but because she truly believed in making things better for others. She sat on a board of a nonprofit organization, which was like a full-time job that she didn't get paid for. She organized multiple toy drives and gathered hundreds of toys to donate to kids less fortunate. Amy rarely suggested that we go frivolous shopping, but she did often organize shifts at our local SF food bank. She never needed her name on anything. Seeing someone else's burden lifted was all the credit that she wanted. Amy also had the best memory. Part of it was just her incredible mind, but a lot of it was that she was always so present and so engaged with the people in front of her. She listened, she noticed, never distracted or preoccupied. She held on to the details that mattered to you. She had a way of making everyone in her life feel like the most important person to her. I'm sure everyone in this room feels like Amy was their very close friend, because that's the way she made people feel important and loved. Even when she was sick in the middle of a clinical trial in Canada, dealing with more than most of us could ever imagine, she could still remember things like our friend BJ's childhood dog's name, Oscar. That was who she was. Even as her world got smaller, her attention to the people she loved never did. Sorry. And then there was her laughter and her brilliant sense of humor. Amy was hilarious. She had that sharp, quick wit that could cut right through tension and make you laugh through tears. I would call her with what felt like the end of the world, and within 2 minutes, I would be laughing and forget about what I was even complaining about. She could find the absurd in the everyday, and she used humor as a way to connect and to comfort. Even in the middle of appointments, treatments, and endless logistics that come with ALS, she was still cracking jokes, still finding a way to make us smile, even if it was just with her eyes. Amy was also, above all, a devoted wife and mother. Tavish, you were her partner in every sense of the word. She leaned on you, she trusted you, and she loved you so deeply. To Ben, you were the very center of her world. Every decision, every plan, every hope that she had for the future was wrapped up in being your mom. She was so proud of you. And she wanted you to know that you were and always will be the greatest joy of her life. To Natalie, the way you showed up for her, somehow always able to understand her voice and her needs, and sitting faithfully by her bedside was so beautiful and such an inspiration. Amy's final chapter was filled with profound devotion from the people who loved her most. Her sister Sarah never left her side, moving first to San Francisco and then to Canada to care for her from the moment of her diagnosis. Her older brother Eric, with whom she shared a deeply special bond, loved her immensely and was always there when it mattered most. Her favorite little sister Melina, Amy loved you so much, and she was always so protective of you. And to her father Bill and stepmother Cheryl, whose partnership began when Amy was young, you gave her a lifetime of steady, beautiful love that she always cherished. This last year was not easy. ALS is such a cruel disease. It takes so much, and yet even as her body failed her, Amy's spirit somehow seemed to grow larger. The way she faced this illness taught us about courage, about patience, and about grace that we didn't even know was possible. She allowed us to walk alongside her in our fear, and our anger, and our grief, and she met all of that with honesty and with an openness that was profoundly brave. It's tempting when someone we love dies to let the illness or the ending define their story. But Amy's story is so much bigger than ALS. Her story is every act of kindness that no one ever found out about, every friend she stayed up late talking with, every time she made someone laugh or feel less alone. Her story is in the way she loved her family, the way she gave her time and heart to others, and the way she made us all feel seen and remembered. Today, as we say goodbye, I find comfort in knowing that Amy's legacy doesn't end here. It lives on in Vish and Ben, in the values she taught them and the love they all shared. It lives on in every one of us who was shaped by her presence, who will carry forward her kindness, her loyalty, her generosity, and yes, we will try to do her sense of humor, to carry on her sense of humor. Amy, my dear friend, thank you for 38 years of friendship, for all the late night conversations, the shared secrets, the shared love of true crime, inside jokes, and the countless little moments that added up to a lifetime. I don't know quite how to do life without you yet, but I promise you this. We will take care of each other, we will take care of your family, and we will all keep telling your stories. Rest easy, Goose. I love and miss you, and we will carry you with us, always.
Wow, what a testimony. We have BJ. Here you are.
Hi all, I'm BJ, a longtime friend of Amy's. Excuse me. We grew up together from 7th grade through college at UCSB. I've considered Amy to be one of my closest friends since we first met in middle school. It was easy to be friends with Amy. She was kind and she was hilarious. One of my favorite Amy mannerisms was her half smirk with eyes fluttering back and forth while you were both in on a joke. She had a knack for making you laugh without saying anything at all. Of course, sometimes she did have something to say, often in retort. How many of us here today were subjected to a "dear"? It's not a dignified sound, but that's what made it so devastating. Or perhaps Amy suggested you simmer down. How many times has Vish been told to simmer down? When Natalie offered to collect stories about Amy, I had a hard time thinking of a particular one since I spent so much time with Amy growing up. I also didn't want to take up a few days with all the nonsense we got up to as kids. I was blessed to grow up with such a kind and funny friend. My wife Jill has a poignant story I'd like to share. We visited San Francisco when Ben was around 6 months old. We met Vish and Amy and Ben in West Portal for a morning coffee. We asked how things were going, and Amy shared that Ben was a great baby, slept fairly well, and that God would only give her what she could handle. A self-deprecating nod to how great of a kid Ben was. It was clear she loved being a mom. Like all of you, I'll miss Amy dearly and keep her in my heart for the rest of my time. I know Amy would want us to have a good time in this life, to love friends and family, that includes our doggies, to be funny, to be kind, to find joy. And if anyone out there gets a little too uppity, I'll tell them to simmer down. Amy would like that. Love you always, Amy. And I just want to conclude that I was lucky to visit Amy in Montreal during her trial, and there just saw the love and dedication and care that Vish and Sarah and Ben and Natalie provided, which I thought was truly heroic. And I know they consider themselves to be the luckiest people in the world to have loved Amy and been her family. But that luck was certainly a two-way street because Amy was so lucky to have you guys as well. Thanks.
Hi everyone, my name is Amrita, and I have the extraordinary privilege of calling Amy one of my best friends. Amy was far too expansive to capture in words on a page. I'm afraid that what I have to say will fall short of the depth, breadth, and beauty of this magnificent person we were all so fortunate to know. I met Amy during the COVID pandemic at her son Ben's birthday party. The Davis Makijani family, or the Dejanis, as they were fondly known, had just joined the San Francisco school, which my son Caden attended. Amy's brilliant plan was not only to celebrate Ben's 6th birthday, but to also bring Halloween to the party, since there was no trick-or-treating that year. She set up multiple candy stations at a local park, and kids could bike or scooter between each to get their candy stash. Without knowing any of us, she thought of our kids and what could bring them some joy, and made Halloween happen that year. I've spent a lot of time thinking about how to describe Amy, and the phrase I keep coming back to is, Amy was a magic maker. It was as though she walked through the world carrying an invisible magic wand. Everything she touched, every space she entered, and every relationship she nurtured became brighter, more beautiful, and more loved. She could turn the ordinary into something beautiful. One year we were room parents together at school. At our last event, she handed me a bag. It contained a custom-made t-shirt that read, "Keep calm, I'm the room parent." She then unzipped her jacket to reveal she was wearing a matching t-shirt. Of course she was. She included Caden and me in her annual gingerbread decorating tradition at Christmas. She approached it with the same care she brought to everything else. The decorations were thoughtfully chosen, the dates booked well in advance, and Christmas sweaters were a must. One decoration mattered more than all the others. A little corgi that Hillary had given her years earlier. Every year, Amy placed the corgi on her gingerbread house, and every year she peeled it off, cleaned it up, and tucked it away until the following Christmas. Amy had an exceptional ability to dream something up and then bring it to life. And she didn't do things halfway. There was always another detail, another layer of sparkle. I can still picture how excited she was about a neon sign she got made for the garage at her new home. The garage was a wonderland of games, fun, and all the things Ben and Vish loved, including the toys Vish hasn't quite grown out of yet, i.e. his golf simulator. Then came the sign, glowing brightly with the words, "Garage Mahal." We laughed so hard. This was Amy. And for all the things she created, she was the very best part. As much as I think of Amy as a magic maker, I think the truest expression of that magic was motherhood. Being Ben's mom was one of the greatest joys and purposes of Amy's life. She just didn't love being Ben's mom. She delighted in it every single day. I was fortunate enough to witness many parts of her creativity, her humor, her dedication as a parent, and eventually our friendship that became one of the most important relationships of my life. Amy and I clicked almost immediately. A shared love of planning and organization initially fueled our connection. With iced lattes in hand, hers with vanilla, mine with hazelnut, and a sandwich from Lucho's, we were logistical powerhouses. Our friendship took off quickly as we had a lot in common. Two moms leading similar lives with similar schedules, spouses with demanding jobs, which included travel and golf. Similar parenting styles, our kids in the same school, the same soccer club, and we both loved good food, our friends, and the Dave Matthews Band. I think what made our friendship so special was that I found somebody who moved through the world in a way that was deeply compatible with how I moved through the world. Someone who understood my life, someone I could build things with. There are some people who make you feel completely at ease, and Amy was one of those people for me. And then for our mutual happiness, our kids became besties. We frequently marveled at their unique friendship and nonstop silliness. She used to say, "They're just like brothers." Soon after our husbands grew close, our foodie families went on to share many meals. We adventured, traveled, and did lots of life together, and organically and spontaneously wove in and out of each other's day to day. This was now chosen family. We somehow compressed decades of closeness into a handful of years. We had so much more in the works, more countries to visit, learning pickleball and joining a senior citizens pickleball travel team, starting a clothing company that made sweatpants that looked like jeans, and maybe even retiring somewhere close together. We were just getting started. Amy was funny, like really funny. She had a top-shelf sense of humor that kept the rest of us laughing. Whether it was a perfectly timed comment, a look across the room, a witty text message at just the right time, or a perfectly curated and oddly useful gag gift. She would intentionally pronounce non-English words and names in the most ridiculous way possible. Not because she couldn't say them correctly, quite the opposite. She knew exactly how to say them. She just found her version funnier, and it was. It was one of many Amyisms that never stopped making me laugh. Her incredible memory for people, stories, and situations. She could recall something that happened years earlier with such detail and precision. It felt like it just happened yesterday. And listening to her tell a story was an experience. By the time she was done, you weren't just hearing what happened. You felt like you had been there. She lightened the load and heaviness of life. She brought energy and laughter to spaces that were otherwise dark. The glimmer in her eye, the inner child mischief was always there. One of her many gifts was that she could see humor in almost everything. Sometimes, even in the disease that tragically she had to battle. And while I never want Amy's story to be defined by her disease, I also cannot speak about her without acknowledging the unbelievable strength she showed during the final chapter of her life. When Amy was first diagnosed with ALS, she was thrust into the fight of her life, and she faced it with a courage that leaves me in awe. I frequently pictured and imagined her as a warrior during those 10 months. Through debilitating anxiety, disbelief, anger, heartbreak, and everything in between, she fought for more time, for more memories. She fought for more moments with Ben, Natalie, Vish, and her family, and with the friends she loved so dearly. She would often tell me, I have so much to lose. For 10 months, she stood her ground against her relentless and brutal disease and fought with everything she had. She was never one to give up anyway. Vish, you took the utmost care of her. You left no stone unturned and no wish unfulfilled. You worked tirelessly for months and spared no effort or expense, fighting valiantly alongside her and for her with what seemed like superhuman power. Your devotion was unwavering, and your love for her was clear as day. I don't know many of you here today, yet we're all here honoring Amy's life together. And how lucky we are to have known her and to have shared even a small piece of life together. In our presence, we were all loved, seen, and celebrated. Amy, I have the deepest gratitude that the universe shared one of its very best humans with me by bringing you into my life. You still mean the world to me, and you are one of my life's greatest treasures. I always cherished you and always will. I will miss you deeply for the rest of my days. I love you, Amy. And I can hear you saying back to me, I love you more.
Sorry, I had to tell her a secret real quick. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Hillary, and Amy was my very best friend. Sounds so weird. Okay, I'm gonna try to get through this. There's a lot of people here. I've really struggled to find the words to speak today. There's so much to say, and at the same time, there's just really no words that could do justice. I have solace knowing that Amy knows exactly how I feel about her, and I know exactly how she feels about me. Sorry, I can't see. When our mutual friend wanted to introduce us, he said to me, "You have to meet my friend Amy. You two are so alike." And he said the same to me about Amy. We both responded to him the same way. I'm all set. But then we met. And as soon as we met, we knew right away that we were soulmates, and we were inseparable from that day. We had over 30 years of friendship, and let me be clear, even if we lived 5 million years old, it would have not been enough time. We did lose touch for a bit, but Amy, she wasn't having it. She hunted me down by digging up my parents' home phone number. Before cell phones, or very early on in cell phones, I think, to make sure I didn't wander too far. And whenever I'd bring that up, she'd just smirk and say, "My best decision ever." And wow, was she right. That decision locked us in for good. We weren't just best friends, we were soulmates. I've known her in every past life, and I know we will be together in our life to come, as are all of you. We are all tethered. To be loved by Amy was to be the luckiest person on the planet. I don't say that lightly. To have her in your corner was like having a force of nature who decided that you were worth the effort. And as you all know, she definitely put in the effort. As we all know, Amy was the most incredible person. She had this knack for finding beauty in everything. She had the best taste, loved the best music, and could make a party in a cardboard box. She didn't just live life, she curated it, and she made sure we were all along for the ride. There wasn't one best part of Amy, it was all of her. She took care of all of us in a way that was fierce and relentless. She was the funniest person I've ever met. She could turn any messy or boring situation into a story that made us all laugh until we couldn't breathe. She saw the world in a way that was just sharper, funnier, and more colorful than the rest of us. When she was first diagnosed, she said, "This can't be. We have plans." She said, "Who will be with you in the old folks' homes on your scooter?" And I said, "You will." A long time ago, she gave me a bracelet and a note that I've kept close ever since. Lately, it's helped me keep going. And I realized it doesn't just apply to me, it applies to all of you as well. She wrote, "You're my person. When you smile, I smile. When you cry, I cry. What makes you happy makes me happy. Wherever you are, whatever happens, know that I'm always with you. You're my person. You'll always be my person." We are all her people, and because she loves so intently, she isn't really gone. She's going to be the one whispering the right music in our ears, making sure we find the best spot at the table, and watching over us like only she could. One of our greatest joys in life has been raising our boys, Ben and Vaughn, together. We watch them grow side by side, and I promise you, Amy, I will do everything in my power to keep them close, just as we were, and to make sure they continue to grow up together. They are our greatest legacy, and I won't let that bond break. Beesh, Ben, Natalie, Bill, Cheryl, Sarah, and Eric, as well as the whole family. You are also forever my family, and I love you all so, so much. We'll meet you on the other side, my sweet sister. The last thing she wrote to me before she couldn't write anymore was, "I love you for eternity, Boo. Love you more, and I will love you for eternity right back, until we're together again, Boo."
Natalie? Oh.
Okay. Yikes. Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Vishal, Amy's husband. Before I discuss Amy, I'd like to make some brief acknowledgments. First, I want to thank Amy's dear friend, Auntie Hills, and Sarah, Amy's sister, for making today possible. In the day since my Amy passed away, they took over completely to make today happen. I'm really grateful. This place is so beautiful, and I'm in their debt. Amy loved you both so much, and I do too. In recent weeks, you both have been there for me when grief has been intense. Thank you for sharing tears and your love and support. I'd also like to thank Amy's family for their support and love from the beginning of our relationship. Papa Bill didn't get the story totally right, but it's fine. Mama Carol, Papa Bill, Cheryl, Sarah, Eric, and Melina have treated Natalie and me as beloved family members. Amy's extended family loved us from the jump as well. I'm forever grateful for their love. They've been there every step of the way with us. I also want to thank all of you for joining us today to celebrate Amy. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for spending this time to celebrate Amy. Today is tough for me, and I apologize in advance if I'm not my normal self today. Somebody's cutting onions, that's what I used to say. I spent a lot of time thinking about how we talk about Amy. And honestly, one of the hardest things about writing this is that putting Amy's life into words makes her loss feel real. In the immediate aftermath of her passing, I had a measure of relief because her suffering had ended. And now in the silence without her, her absence is so real now, and it's devastating for me. I keep finding myself wanting to share moments about Ben or Natalie or our crazy sweet dogs with Amy. I keep wanting to share the mundane and the profound with her, and I can't. Things I didn't fully understand while she was alive, things I wish I had said more clearly, things I wish I could still say now. I yearn for the tiny moments, a held hand after an argument, a quick kiss, the look that only your parents gives me. Are these mics or what? Okay.
Stay up there.
All right.
Yeah, they're recording.
Okay. So many of you in this room have been an amazing comfort to me while Amy was ill and in the aftermath of her passing. I love you for it and appreciate it all. The whole is real, though. Amy, I miss you badly. Amy was extraordinary and lived an extraordinary life. Not because she was famous, not because she was perfect, not because she never struggled. Amy was extraordinary because she was the most caring person I've ever known. You heard a lot of that today already. Amy was extraordinary because of how honestly and authentically she lived. And I don't mean caring in some vague or generic way. You felt Amy's care. You recognized her authenticity. Amy's care made people feel important. She made them feel included and seen. In a world of fake and inauthenticity, I shouldn't have wrote that word. There's too many syllables. Amy was as real as it got. She spoke the truth. It could be funny or disarming or attractive, or it could hurt. But then ring true once I was over getting that truth bomb in the face. I learned over time she wasn't being mean. She just believed in saying what she felt or what she saw as truth. I'm convinced that this trait is what attracted so many of us to her. Let me share some more. Amy had this incredible social ease that bordered on magic. It didn't matter whether she had known someone for 20 years or just met them 5 minutes ago. Amy could talk to anyone. Men, women, old friends, little kids, pets, complete strangers. And very quickly they'd be laughing with her and enjoying their time with her or just following her around. She wasn't the center of attention in a performative sense. She wasn't trying to dominate the room. People just genuinely loved being around her, and odds were they would be laughing in a few minutes. She could talk about anything: politics, parenting, gossip, serious things, ridiculous things, funny stories, TV, true crime, music, food. Whatever it was, she made conversation feel alive and effortless. She could embrace small talk or deep topics from the jump. She had a great intuition of just what to say. Amy absolutely loved her friends, as you heard her today. She loved long phone conversations, laughter, dinners, music, travel stories, companionship. She just really valued time with them. Amy used to say many times that she and Jeannie could have fun locked in a closet. And that really was Amy. She didn't need perfect circumstances to enjoy herself. She knew how to create joy almost anywhere. It just flowed from her. And all the while she was embracing life, she made people feel included and at ease and yearned to spend more time with her. I got to ride those coattails all the time. What a gift. It also made me envious at times. When people came to our home, Amy thought about everyone individually. If someone or their child had a dietary restriction or a special need or didn't have someone to play with or just a specific preference, she made sure there was food for them or the perfect game for them to play. If there's some small detail that would make someone feel considered or welcome, Amy thought of it and handled it like a boss. Those details mattered to her. As you heard today, Amy especially cherished birthdays. She wanted to make people feel special and cared for. I know many of you have opened gifts for you or your children and thought, wow, she nailed it. You also got our musically talented happy birthday videos. My voice was better. I also love being with our friends and loved ones. It gives me energy. It holds me up. I always wanted to have people over all the time. Sometimes we would argue about this a little, because I was happy to throw people together casually, and Amy wanted things done well. She didn't want to do anything half-assed. At the time, I sometimes thought she was overthinking things or was being too perfect, but now I understand it more deeply. It wasn't about perfection or the pride of the house looking just right. It was about care. Amy made people feel seen, loved, and prioritized. Amy also cared deeply about justice and fairness. She was someone who instinctively defended people who were vulnerable, overlooked, or mistreated. She especially cared about women and children being treated with dignity and respect. And she didn't just hold opinions privately, she acted on them. Amy put her time and effort in. She got involved to stop human trafficking. She campaigned and canvassed for candidates. She believed in, she spoke up, she acted. I'm so proud of her. That was Amy, warm, social, and funny, but also deeply principled. She lived honestly. I think that honesty is one of the things that drew people to her so powerfully. As you know, Amy shared her feelings openly. Sometimes that was hard for me, if I'm being honest. I often want things to feel easier or lighter or less emotionally complicated. I'm a guy, after all. But Amy lived in a very real way. There was nothing fake about her. She didn't pretend, she didn't posture, she didn't hide who she was emotionally. But I've come to realize that was actually an incredible strength. She was authentic in a world where many people are just performing versions of themselves all the time. Amy was real. And nowhere was that more visible than how she loved our children. Amy was Natalie's second mom nearly instantly. Treating Natalie as if she were her own, Amy sweated all the details, managed the complexity of another parent with grace, kept Natalie's well-being at the center of her efforts, loving embraces, cool clothes, thoughtful gifts, amazing birthdays. You should have seen her as Mario. Discipline, food choices with meds, parental guidance, rules, all of it. When Ben arrived 11 and a half years ago, Amy took motherhood to another level. Everything was thought of, always. She didn't just care about academics or achievements or appearances. Of course, she wanted our kids to be academically successful and independent, but what mattered most to her was the kind of human beings they became. She wanted them to be kind, capable, compassionate, thoughtful, caring toward other people. She wanted them to notice people who were hurting, to protect people who needed protecting, to move through the world with empathy and conscience. She modeled that every single day. Amy used to say to Ben, "I love you more." And when the back and forth wouldn't stop, she would say, "Beans, I love you most in the world." Even now, I can hear her saying that. I watch videos of these moments on repeat right now. With Ben especially, Amy was involved in every detail of his life from the very beginning. She thought deeply about everything: his experiences, his growth, his music, his creativity, his screen time, his emotional development. One example that really captures who Amy was after Ben got into the San Francisco school. Amy decided to create an annual yearbook for the class. What started as a little cute project became something bigger. It's become tradition, a way for families to preserve the memories and progression of their children growing up together. Amy sweated every detail of that annual book. That was Amy. She saw the importance of moments while they were happening. She understood that life moves quickly and that memories matter. Our dear friends treasure those yearbooks because they were made with love and intention, just like so many things that Amy did. And then there was our marriage. I've been thinking a lot about this recently. Amy and I had a real marriage. We had struggles. We fought sometimes. And honestly, I was often worse at fighting than she was. Amy would usually express what she was upset about quite directly. I was more likely to say something defensive or hurtful that I later regretted. And yet she forgave me many, many times. What I realize now, through speaking with some of you in this room, in a way I didn't fully understand while she was alive, it's just how deeply committed she was to me. She loved me fiercely. I always felt so proud walking into a room with Amy. Beyond her obvious beauty, she was a smoke show. She was radiant. She lit up any room she walked into. I felt lucky she chose me. Lucky that this beautiful, passionate, intelligent, funny woman picked me and wanted to build a life with me. What a score. I don't think I fully grasped the depth of her commitment until after losing her. And that realization has been both beautiful, but also heartbreaking. I wish I could tell her now how much I see it, how lucky I feel to have been her love bug. And then came ALS. There are really no adequate words for how cruel this disease is. But what made it especially cruel for Amy was that it attacked the very things that made her who she was, with relentless speed. Amy lived out loud. She loved movement. She loved talking. She loved connecting. She loved being active. She loved expressing herself physically and socially and emotionally. She wasn't obsessed with fitness in a narcissistic way. She simply loved feeling alive in her body and engaged in life. And ALS took those things away from her piece by piece. It was devastating to watch. Her movement, her independence, her speech, her breathing. For someone like Amy, losing the ability to move and to communicate comfortably was unimaginably cruel. And she knew what was happening. She was scared. I think sometimes people think they expect courage to look fearless. But Amy taught me something different. Amy was courageous while also being terrified. She was honest about her fear, honest about her grief, honest about how devastated she was to be leaving us. I remember when Ben arrived in Montreal during her clinical trial on his birthday. We were so happy to see him. As we were singing happy birthday to Ben, Amy was overcome with sadness. It broke my heart watching her suffer. More than anything, I wanted to restore her movement, take away her fear, her anxiety, and her physical and emotional pain. And I couldn't. That failure will stay with me forever. But even as the disease became more brutal, Amy kept going. Toward the end, when things became so difficult, the pain, the choking, the suctioning, the struggle to breathe comfortably, the exhaustion, she somehow remained incredibly brave. She didn't pretend everything was okay. She didn't deny reality, but she endured it with extraordinary courage and resilience. And honestly, I don't even think I fully understand how brave she was at the time, but looking back now, she was a fucking stud. She really was. From the early commitment to physical therapy, to hitting calorie goals when she had no appetite, to breathing work, to lumbar punctures, to needles. Amy hated needles. She just soldiered through all of it. I hate that disease and what it did to my sweet girl. She fought like a warrior. I think one of the greatest lessons Amy leaves behind is this: don't waste time. Amy did not waste her life. She lived for 50 years and 5 days, and she got more out of those years than many people get from lives twice as long. I think for much of my own life, I was always focused on the future. Amy didn't live that way. She understood how to live now. She didn't postpone life, she lived it, fully, honestly, passionately. And because of that, her life had incredible weight and meaning. I know many of us who got captured in the Amy love orbit here feel cheated about how short her life was. I certainly do. But I also know this. Amy changed those she touched. She changed me. She shaped our children. She made friends and family feel seen, loved, and included. And that kind of life does not just disappear. Her love is still here in the people she shaped, especially in our children. When I look at Ben, his kindness, his compassion, his beauty, I see her every day. That is her legacy. Some final thoughts. If you're blessed to be with your partner, tell them what you appreciate about them. Don't postpone connections. Say yes to getting together. Say yes to seeing your family. Don't assume there'll always be more time. Sit with your friends just a little bit longer. Call, don't just text, your family and close friends. Show up for people, make them feel seen, live and love out loud the way she did. I'll never stop wishing we had more time. I will also never stop being grateful that I get to spend my life with her. Amy, I love you. I miss you. And I hope you knew how lucky we all were to have you in our lives. Give Mama Carol, Dottie, Doc, Grandy, Pancake, Lulu, and Moose a hug from all of us.
How do you follow that? Well, Vish said just about everything that I was going to say, so I'm not going to repeat it. He said it more eloquently than I probably would have, but it's so true. Life is really short. One quote I found that I just love, it's Mother Teresa once said, "Kind words can be short and easy to speak, but their echoes are truly endless. They're ongoing forever." And that's her legacy. And the emulating, to think about how much more significant to look at her life and emulate her strengths that made her so special. By following Amy's example, everyone here, you become a living memorial unto her, and she continues to live in your hearts. There's those people that put us, whose memory puts a smile on your face and warms your heart, and I know that Amy was that type of person. My sadness again is that I didn't know this beautiful creature, but I do feel, like I said, that I've known her. Although words don't seem enough to say how deeply sorry I am with everything that's been shared, at how much Amy will be missed. But I learned a long time ago that it's not so much about what happens to me that matters, it's how I respond what happens to me. And you may have heard the term closure being used at the time of a memorial, and I don't believe that. I understand the intent of it, but I'm not sure it's the best term. Closure means cessation, end point, finality, to close the door. And how can we have a memorial, a celebration for someone that we love so deeply, and then just go on as though everything is the same? And it's not. But I do believe that we come to some resolution. And to the family, it's been said, you don't really get over it, you get through it in time and with each other. We're never intended to suffer alone. We were created to care for and support others in their time of need, but to allow others to support us in time of ours. And I always say that you can tell where a beautiful soul has been by the number of tears, the number of smiles, and the number of the amount of laughter that we've heard. And we've heard so much of that today. And I know that you were privileged to have known her. We have a closing song that is so special, and the family wanted me to share it. Love that song. It's just, I think about Amy and I think about how her just being an angel on earth, and now she's an angel soaring high. In closing, Amy's family, again, wants you to know it's been mentioned, but just for me to tell you how much your presence here has blessed them beyond measure. It means so very much. Everyone is invited to go into the reception area. We want to continue the celebration of her life, to hear some more music. Amy loved music. And just spend time. There's a slideshow of her very filled life. I encourage you to spend time with the family and with each other and continue these stories. And she continues to live that way. And Amy loved you all, but you all loved her. But remember,